Hi,
Okay,
everyone.
hi everyone. Sorry, I'm just off with the pixies. Here I am channeling. Lovely to see you. We've got quite a lot of questions coming through. This is the first time I've talked about the Temple of the Holy Spirit and spent time. I mean, we've brought the information out on it, as you would have read on the website. So there's insight there, what's going on, but I haven't spoken about it to anybody. So this is the first time. Just to be aware too, we've only got a few online, but we have quite a lot of people, over 50 booked in for this. So they will be receiving the Q&A session, and I'll be answering quite a few questions with people who are not live. So they'll be receiving those answers as well. So I just want to just begin the process around how the temple came into the creation process for it to establish itself and me be a vessel as I am for it. It took me probably just before COVID, 2020, like I said in the previous session with the mystery school. I got a guidance that we were going to go online with the training, and then I kind of knew that we were going to go online. I had already said this was the last round of the mystery schools, and that was actually before COVID. So you can see I was totally in sync with the changes in the world and the changes in my destiny. And we then set the intent to between 2022 to 2025 to finish the final round of the mystery school on location. And there was two reasons for that. The first reason was because I wanted to give everybody who had wanted to go to the mystery school an opportunity to go through that cycle. And we had a huge cycle all round of people coming through that final mystery school. And it also gave me the opportunity to complete all my channelings and upgrades that I needed to do in myself, because I was already moving into the temple, which I'll explain in a minute. And it also gave us an opportunity to do what was destiny, to videography, to put all the mystery school content online so it can be now available for people. And it's really interesting. The mystery school came online this year for the very first time. It's been amazing. It's worked exactly the way I thought it would, even better actually. The revelations and everything that I'm seeing as it's running. So it's actually, this is the year also that I'm starting the temple. So I feel it's a really big year for me to journey through all the temples of the mystery schools that I've been through, not only when on location, every single mystery school I've done, every single training I've done in the world, like I said, every mystery school, I channel temples, I go interdimensional, all the content, it's all there and it's alive. And it's all interdimensional. As I said in the previous session, I'm working holographically. I'm working on parallel mystery schools when the mystery school's running here, as I'm walking into my temple in my Merkaba light body, moving towards the end of the year, and now I'm grounding it so it can come alive. So I'm living this interdimensional mystery school aspects that brought me to the temple. So I had to consolidate all of that wisdom and knowledge and complete my destiny on that level to move into the temple. So, how did the temple begin? Well, I think right at the first cycle before, I think it was 2000, I think Megan, 2016, was it when I did the first cycle of Mystery School 5? I think it was around that.
2019.
Oh,
2019.
2019. Wow. So you can
Yeah.
see it's all running together, right? When I did the first cycle of Mystery School 5 with some of the graduates in the Q&A with today, I knew and I said to them that the Diamond Pyramid of Light had been established. So in the previous Q&A, I talked about how I've created this crystalline doorway, and the Diamond Pyramid of Light, which is the Mystery Schools, are now solidified here. They will stay here and run. But I also knew at that time I was going to go online and complete it. And I, when I was writing Mystery School 4 and completing Mystery School 5, I had a profound vision by Mother Mary. So it was really from 2000 and 1999 to 2000 and was born to, from 1999 to 2012. I started having visions of her really, and I brought out some channelings around that. And I just was, it was almost like she was preparing me. She was talking to me about the Blu-ray, how she was going to come through more. And that was an aspect of other channelings, but it was more consistent. She started talking to me directly, but as a voice and as a channel. So I thought she was a really big guide for me to help me bring through bigger pictures around lineages and the DNA healing and everything. And she started connecting me into different dimensions of the angelic plane. I mean, I had been working with it a lot and it's in the energy a lot, but she started talking about how new dimensions are opening around that. And I realize now she was preparing me. So she is really my guide. She's my teacher. Like Lord Melchizedek's my teacher, the big, but even more, Lord Melchizedek honors Mother Mary for a divine vessel of the divine feminine. So he's very aware of her. They're very aware of her. She's part of the High Council, which he sees some parts of. So she was kind of preparing me. And then when I started to write Mystery School 4, she came into divine presence with me. She started speaking to me directly. She appeared before my very eyes and she started to talk to me about me. It was really weird, like trying to explain to me to see myself for who I am in on a whole nother level. And it was like a preparation, you could say. And it was very strange because it was around that time I had massive upheavals in my personal life. Work was going on to a whole nother level. We've moved from the gateway. It was so huge that was actually going on. And as she was coming through, also what would happen, I would have really unique and almost supernatural divine experiences that I'd never experienced before. So she was creating massive change in my reality in relationship to doorways opening up and things happening for me and explaining to me. So she appeared over a 6-month period when I was writing, at the end of writing Mystery School 4, and then completing Mystery School 5. It was in that year transition. And then she told me things about my personal that I don't share with anybody. I have never told anybody this, and that's something that I need to keep to myself. She told me, preparing me, like, I've always been here, but you haven't been ready to really see me. Like I would walk into a cathedral in Italy or in Europe, I would come out and then I would feel her energy, and then all of a sudden I'd walk down the street and then I'd see a big statue of her and then she would speak to me. So she was trying to say to me, you've always felt my energy, but you didn't understand that it was a deeper connection than what you thought. So there was this massive, and I never saw myself as Mother Mary girl, to tell you the truth. I mean, I mean, she's so saintly and so pure, and I just, she was way beyond me. I just thought, it's amazing, but I never saw her so connected to me as my guide, that's the first time that's ever happened to me, ever. Like, I always honor Lord Melchizedek and get guidance, but I've never felt that kind of connection. So you could say that what they were doing was waiting for me to see if I could get as far as I got in my evolution, if I completed my destiny here, and completing that with all the mystery schools, consolidating. If you want to know more about it, you've got the Q&A about the mystery school. And it's such a big part of my journey and will continue to be that. I will be continually active with this mystery school in this incarnation and beyond, and it's staying. But what she was doing, that was part of me being able to enter into the temple. if I hadn't have been the vessel for the mystery school teachings interdimensionally and had all of those experiences, I would not have been able to become this vessel. So in the last Mystery School 5, I did explain to the graduates there's a difference between a channel and a vessel. Vessel is used, and there's very few vessels on the planet, guys. Channel, yes, vessels are very different. So since 2020, when I went into writing the book, she then came through to be a vessel for me to translate certain concepts that I knew I couldn't translate until the time was right to write the book. So, and then she started coming through more. So how she then, once I accepted her as my guide and my teacher, and I am her, you could say I am an apprentice, a spiritual priestess or high priestess to her teachings. I'm being directly taught by her. I'm being guided to see my part in on a much bigger level through the divine kingdom. So the divine council, that's I'm translating in the book of Revelation what is the divine council. And the divine council is a whole soul group of beings. I believe Thoth is one of them. Christ is a priest of the divine council. Saints are moving towards the divine council in their evolution. There's divine beings. Enoch oversees and initiates people that are part of the divine council. They are beings in this dimension that have come in and moved through and left huge technology, or they're beings that have come in to help global consciousness evolve through the light. You could say through the light when there's so much chaos. So what actually started happening, and of course, in amongst all of that, I bought this land here and started to build and started to create a grid porthole for me to work, but to also, it gave me a sacred place, I guess, to establish a vibration. And I call it the temple of the Holy Spirit. I started when we put the marquee up and I do certain teachings over there, constantly gridding from here throughout the world and going interdimensionally in different grids in the world. It's not like it goes just from here. But what I could see was I was crystallining a temple. And that's why all of a sudden now I've got more crystals around me. So this temple is, it's actually a crystalline temple that I can optimize the sacred space to enter the temple through this grid line that goes throughout the whole planet interdimensionally and taps to all these other temples throughout all mystery schools, past and future. So it's like I'm living that reality. So how does the temple look and feel? It's crystallining. It's very simple. It's a sacred space with a vibration. But when I don't need to go into the temple now to feel her and be with the High Council. They're showing me they've created the temple to help me enter it and hold it more. So what I'm actually doing, and I will say it now, it's been a process getting it out there, but they're preparing me to be a vessel to actually birth the vibration of the Holy Spirit, basically through my Merkaba, my light body. So you can see in the mystery school, later mystery school teachings, I went, and they did feel it in the mystery school, this vibration come through, and that's that Holy Spirit vibration. It is probably the hardest thing I've ever done, because to be a channel and you optimize my subtle bodies, I've always known about them. I've been optimizing and using them since I was born. It was easy because I knew it. I've been living this interdimensionality for a long time. I think that for me, for this, it's like climbing up a mountain. You're halfway or three-quarters way and you've got to get to the top. It's getting colder, you're more elevated. There's more initiations, or there's more things to move through. I believe nobody has done, well, I certainly haven't done this in my evolution, and I don't feel only certain people who are in devotion to the divine feminine and have walked many pathways of many lineages of connection. And if you hear my teachings around the advanced level teachings, every teaching I give online since the day I started teaching the advanced level, Melchizedek said to me when he told me I was to build the diamond pyramid of light, that the one thing that was unique about me is that I'd never disconnected to the goddess and the divine feminine. So it was through that massive journey. So this is a really big step in my evolution, my spiritual evolution. So what I've done as I get closer to opening the door to the temple, I'm attuning the vibration myself to the vibration of it. I'm working on it pretty much every day. To be honest, I get sick sometimes. I get overwhelmed emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, because it's such a unique and pure vibration. Is my system has to adjust to it because I'm living in this world. So to be a vessel, I have a lot of light and Merkaba activity, but my carbon, or you could say my crystalline body, has to, in my lower self, with my higher self, my divine I am, has to attune. There's no textbook on this. There's no information on this that I can see in the world. So what I'm learning is to birth something, that to be a vessel for something that needs to be birthed into this dimension. And it's like a seed. You can't grow something unless you have a seed. Well, the seed is my system and all that evolution and adjustability to this grid, my own I am, my own etheric light body Merkaba, and communion with this divine council and they've actually been initiated into it. So from now on, you'll hear me saying things like the divine council. I'm actually with them. I'm with Mother Mary and them when I say that. So what I did is did some trances this year leading up to the end of the year. And what I did is through those trances, I was looking at the patterning. So the whole idea is when I was doing that, they were showing me you no longer just radiate light and you no longer do all that incredible technology through light Merkaba and let people adjust gently to it and continue to heal and ascend. What they were showing me is that you're elevating them vibrationally. It's a big difference. So I could feel them coming up vibrationally. Now, as that happens, it's when I say, well, the divine council, or I'm tuning in through the temple of the Holy Spirit, I can then go into this vibration. And then it begins to gestate inside of me and resonate outside of me. Now, if I'm in the room, I've been in my apartment, which is like my sacred space. It's set up in a way for me to write and meditate and so forth. And when I was doing some Holy Spirit trances a few weeks ago, I had to walk out for the very first time and go downstairs and get something. And then I came back in, because usually when I'm channeling in that, I get very altered, and I don't move out of my reality until I'm finished, because I get very altered. But when I went out and came in, I could feel her vibration everywhere, my whole apartment, when I've been working. So it gave me the opportunity to feel the energy I resonate when she comes through. Now, it has come through some of the Mystery School channelings, the last online, and people could feel it. Once it starts coming through, you go into a completely different space. So what I'm through committing for the last 43 years to complete the Mystery Schools online, or should I put them online, I was slowly giving myself time and space to gently move into the temple, which ripples down into the Mystery School teachings, into the trainings, into all the information and channelings that I do, and into the energy, right? There's a ripple effect with it, but it's also rippling down into the grid. So you could say that I see myself as a seed. Like once it's solidified in my patterning, and it just gently, oh my God, it's the oversoul. It's her oversoul that's I'm unifying with. It's like I'm becoming one with that. And she and I become, it's almost like I'm a baby cocooned in her vibration. And that's how that vibration then becomes part of me and resonates out of me. And it feels like it's a specific vibration. And that's her oversoul aspect enabling me to absorb like a child in a womb, her vibration. And to hold that vibration within this reality, that's what they're telling me. That's who you are in the High Council. That's how they identify with me with, as being this vibration. And I feel for me, what does this mean for me and the planet and the universe and whatever in that, not just the energy? For me, it's a big part of my evolution, because as I complete writing the book, I'll explain more and more about what the High Council is written there and how they are coming through and creating an evolutional process in our planet and within the human soul for us to be touched by the light in a way that it will enable them to participate in the evolution not only of our civilization but many civilizations interconnected to us. So for me, I'm not going to look at that big picture right now. So what's my intent with everybody coming to the temple? Well, it's like everybody coming to the mystery school. I guess what I have to do is participate in enabling people to touch this vibration if it's their destiny. It enables me to be of service. It enables me to embody and express wisdom that I'm writing about, to enable me to facilitate that perception to get more clear for me. I can actually see what's happening in the human blueprint and body and consciousness as I'm channeling it. And it gives people in a sacred space for me to have that experience with them, to experience that if that's their destiny, but also it enables me to enable it to be seated within this dimension. I'm actively participating in it. And when I'm participating in it, I'm on the seed that's birthing it into the grid, because they need a vessel, they say. It comes from the elemental angelic around, I think it was 2004 to 2006. I started talking about the angelic and the elemental coming together and working on a 4 to 6 dimensional plane. I will be explaining this in the temple, but because there's been a healing going on in certain dimensions of the grid holographically, a distortion is finally healing, and it's enabling us to evolve beyond polarity to such a point of purity, but it can only happen through the Holy Spirit. So I'm not saying I'm the only one. All I'm saying to you is this is a big part of my evolution, and I go more into the council now. And I'll be explaining what that is. I'll be helping people to feel that they'll be touched by this vibration. It will be something that's so unique because of that. I'll be facilitating, giving clarity to people to understand something they've been teaching about for years, but there's a different perception coming through because I'm explaining it, but they're feeling it. But as they're feeling it, I'm living it more, and it's also seeding into the grid and dispersing throughout the whole grid. And then that seed is set then, like the diamond pyramid of life. The diamond is crystallized. Now the seed, the tree of life has to birth. Do you see? It's got to birth within the diamond pyramid of light to enable people through that ascension to reach the divine. And this is a point of vibration that's going to help you connect to the divine, whether that's a saint, whether it's a divine being, an elemental divine being, an angelic, or it's a divine guide. It's going to give people accessibility as this vibration begins to birth within the grid and the human soul, for the oversoul to come into fruition. So what am I going to be doing? Look, a lot of it I'm preparing energetically is the biggest part, because once October comes, I'm then the vessel. I've consolidated it. It's been a lot of hard work for me to get to this place. And then I will be moving forward with that birthing, just running it as it runs through me, and letting the magic and the healing of disconnection from spirit, and the healing that can take place, and the purification, the spiritualization. And once I can ground that in, it can be dispersed more energetically into the universe. You know what I mean? And but to do that, I have to identify myself. It's to even say the Temple of the Holy Spirit was a big deal for me, because I had to come out of the closet, so to speak, and identify and say, well, this is it. This is it. This is what I have to own. I have to own it to the world now if I'm going to embody it. So preparation is the vessel, and the other part is keynotes of things that I want to go into, and it's going to be very spontaneous with that in the moment as well, because I'm going to be guided as I'm working with it. It's not like I can write down, today we're going to get a crystal out, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and I know, but this is the most important thing, and then that's becoming more clear as I move towards it. But once I get to the temple in October, it's solidified here. And the tree of life, and the temple is a part of the tree of life, is part of the diamond pyramid of life in my evolutional process, right? And I always see the bigger picture in that. So I'm very much aware that that's who I am. That's how they see me. So that's how it is. So what I think to do now, because we've got quite a lot of questions, we're going to start with the questions.
So I thought maybe before I dive into some of these questions, by the way, sorry, I'm Megan Cartwright. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alexis's daughter, and you'll see me at all of her trainings and mystery schools and things like that. I'm by her side supporting that process. But what I wanted to pick up on there is, we have transference healing with all of the trainings, and then for those that are called to the mystery schools, which, as we've been talking through the previous Q&As, are all really one stream, right? The fundamental, advanced, and teachers trainings, and in through the mystery schools, you go deeper into the alchemy, you go deeper into that gridding technology, as well as focusing on very specific teachings that are part of the universal consciousness that is transference healing. The Temple of the Holy Spirit, whilst it has birthed through Alexis's own evolution through this, is separate to it, okay? And by that I mean it doesn't require any prerequisites of trainings or anything like that, though I'm sure a lot of people that will come through will have touched the energy in some way, no doubt. But it really is Alexis's next step. Right. Okay. And I know she keeps referring to a book, so I'll just give you a little bit of feedback on what that is, because for those of you who haven't sat trainings with Alexis, Alexis, received a calling to very early on, very early on, I think it would have been in her mid-20s, to write this book, which would be a key, essentially. It would be a translation of the Book of Revelation and an extrapolation in that, and the technology of it. So the energy that's coming through for the Temple of the Holy Spirit is coming through that process for her as well. It's not only all the work that it has taken to template all of the mystery schools within transference healing that's fed to it, but also the work that she's been doing on these higher channelings for the book that she's been writing. And that's kind of, I think, right, Alexis, birthed this process to come into being. So I just wanted, because I know that there's a little bit of confusion about how it works. Anybody can come to the Temple of the Holy Spirit, but it really is the only opportunity to be with Alexis in person now. right now that we've moved the mystery school online, and the trainings. I mean, they've of course live interactions with her, and as we know, they're very, very powerful, being in those spaces. But this is an opportunity to be in her energy, immersed in that space, and then also to connect with this Holy Spirit vibration that she's bringing through. So I just wanted to summarize that there for you before we moved into some of the questions, because some of them move on from that. I'm going to pose one from Deb's first. It's a lengthy question, if you'll let me read it out. I understand that there are no prerequisites to attend the temple, but I'd like to know how or if the transference healing modality intersects with this work, and if you're open to sharing some context as to how the Temple of the Holy Spirit holds a space for spiritual aspirants or seekers, and how it wishes to manifest through them on earth.
Okay, so with the first question, like I've kind of tried to explain it a little bit, it will ripple once I embody this vibration, the Holy Spirit. It will, like I said, it's you just feel it. You can feel it. It's so tangible. Once I can birth it, it becomes, oh my God, what is that, right? It will ripple down through the energy. So for me, it's going to touch so many people through the energy if they need an absorption, if they're ready for an absorption. The energy that's being run will help it eventually. You can't say, well, if I run transference healing, it's going to come through and disperse the Holy Spirit, and then you're going to have a miraculous healing and we're all going to go off into the la la land. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is if it takes this much journey for me and pain and struggle for me to birth it then it will have to flow its own divine synchronicity. Do you understand? But I know it will. But I also know it's been birthed into the grid and the universe for the future. And I also believe people who come through the energy past, present, and future in the subtle body to realize you could be coming into now in the future. And there you're actually absorbing the Holy Spirit because of the work you've done now and because you're listening to me now about the temple that you've accessed through connected with me now to be in the future. So what I'm saying is this energy will continue to run transference healing even after I go. It's in the crystalline grid. But the more I hold it and run it, I'm going to connect back to people that come through this doorway, through the temple of the through the pyramid, the diamond pyramid of light. And I'm going to continue to be able to touch more and more people because my energy is going to get bigger because it's the Holy Spirit energy. It's beyond, it's way beyond me. So I can have support so many souls, even more so than what I'm doing now. And yes, it is part of the evolution of the energy as well. Now, the second question, can you just repeat that, Megan? Yeah.
Just to provide some context on how the Temple of the Holy Spirit holds a space for spiritual aspirants or seekers, and how it wishes to be manifest through them on the earth.
I think once people get touched by it, either through me directly or through the vibration that it's moving through the grid, and it's becoming more accessible as the divine beings come in, the divine council and the angelic and elemental, as they start to be able to access more direct connection with us as it's birthing. Because I will be explaining more and more the distortion that was in the grids, it couldn't burst. So now it's time. I've been leading up to this, so much information I've been sharing the last 10 years. So as it begins to birth more and more, people will have their divine experiences, and they'll be called to experience that more through the work that they do energetically and through being receptive and open to the divine. And that's what it's about. It's about opening people up to the divine I am, to the birthing of Christ consciousness. Ultimately, it's a journey in to being touched by the divine and the birthing as our subtle bodies come alive and they start to crystalline more from this point in evolution on the birthing of Christ consciousness, body and consciousness. It really is the key, but I don't want to go to that point. What I'm saying is we need the Holy Spirit to heal the soul, to birth the subtle bodies through the divine grace of Mother Mary and the High Council, for us to be touched by the divine and move in through the light to the divine, the aspiration to the divine. And we're still utilizing our subtle bodies, light body, and Merkaba, and all of that, but we're choosing to move into the divinity of light. It's a whole different, and this is what the Book of Revelation really is about. It's saying, well, and I believe even the Atlanteans that came to ancient Egypt, and I was part of a mystery school there at one point of my evolution interdimensionally. I believe they came for accessibility into this, to the realm of God, this divine dimension. That's what they came through. They already had accessibility to the subtle bodies way beyond we do. We're going to access that subtle system more rapidly now as Atlantean Lemurian codes birth. But if I can't birth this concept and reality, or birth this vibration and start exploring it more and teaching it more as part of my destiny, as part of other beings and other divine beings, it's opening up accessibility to what many divine beings have come into this dimension to access. It's pretty profound, really. That's what the Book of Revelation is about. Because there's conflict and wars, even within the fifth dimension. You know, our dimension is moving into intergalactic fifth dimension, and they're much more, they know they're coming to save us from conflict and war here, but they're being touched by the divine to help them move through that for knowledge and wisdom and being touched by God, so to speak. But what they're saying is, once you're touched and you move into it, you don't get caught up in any interdimensional conflict, any of that, not only within this world, but interdimensionally through your subtle system. You know, that conflict is a lot less than it is here. I hope you understand. It's very complex, and that's why I'm doing the temple. You know, starting to explain it bit by bit by bit. But it's the Holy Grail. This doorway of accessibility to this dimension. They call it, and if you read the Book of Revelation, it talks about crystal temple. There were crystals that were there. That's a crystalline thing on my temple to access this dimension, but it's also a crystalline kingdom once you embody Christ consciousness. That actually is what I'm talking about. This is this dimension. Okay, next question. Sorry, I'm running over time here. How are we going?
No, it's all right. We can just run over. There's quite a few questions. So if you need to pop out at any point, just remember everything's being recorded and you'll receive access to it, okay? But there's some good questions here.
Layers of it, you know. Go back and listen, you'll get it bit by bit. Yeah.
Do we all hold the temple of the Holy Spirit within each and every cell of our being?
Our soul was birthed through the divine council, this temple vibration. But we now that we're healing the mind, body, soul, and spirit, and we're starting to absorb our subtle systems, it's through the oversoul coming alive that our subtle system will birth. And that's the symbol in the Book of Revelation. If you've heard me say in Channeling's Way in the past, I talked about, I went to translate my early 20s when God came to me and said I had a key to the Book of Revelations, how the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life. No idea what he was talking about, right? Well, what that voice was talking about. But what I realized when I sat down, I hadn't even read the Book of Revelation. I didn't know it was a prophetic book. I didn't know most people had no idea what it was talking about, and I didn't know it was full of symbolism. But it's actually a key. There's a subliminal message through the whole. There's light. There's angelic language. There's everything there that I'm translating. But the first thing I saw was, I don't know what page it was on, third or fourth, fifth, whatever chapter, was the woman on the moon with the stars above her head and the dragon beneath her feet. Straight away, I knew that was Mother Mary. I don't know how I knew that was Mother Mary. I've been walking this path towards her for many incarnations and many dimensions. I just knew, and I put my writing down and I knew I wasn't ready. And then I went out and started creating transference healing. I started running energy directly on people. And I knew that was my way of understanding the patterning to consolidate an energy And I knew one day I'd pick that book up, and she was the key. That symbol, that one sentence was the key. And now that I'm doing this, now I can translate that. But it's not just translating, guys. When I'm writing the book, it's exhausting. I actually have to get out of it, and I have to go and meditate because the energy is so big. It's helping me facilitate myself becoming the vessel. So it's like I'm having to become the vessel to translate, but the translations help me embody the vessel. Because that particular passage in the book, and what the oversoul is now that we're healing the soul, and the oversoul can birth. It's only through the oversoul you can birth your subtle bodies, and they can crystallize and form as part of your body and consciousness within the fifth dimension. You've got to hit the fifth dimension and live in it. But it's also the over the soul that's actually birthing eventually your Christ body and consciousness. So the subtle system is the key for the evolution out of struggle into the light, into interdimensionality, beyond the conflict. Because I even saw a war that was happening in Atlantis, and I saw them when I went to some of the temples in Egypt. I was channeling what happened with Thoth and why they left that dimension, right? They were aware through their light body leave. They're going to figure this out, but we're not going to be around. We're going through that porthole, or what's this dimension here? We're going to create a temple and a mystery school, and then we're going to move through that. There was another sphere called the sphere of Osiris. Oh, that's actually a vibration of rebirth. If you can rebirth your system and your alchemy, you can actually be born through the Holy Spirit. They actually were aware of this vibration, and they were trying to reach it because they didn't want to go through fifth to sixth dimensional reality anymore. They wanted to live beyond that. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So, next question is, could you please explain what kind of preparation, purification, and initiation one will go through in the lead up to the temple, and what you might receive by attending this two-part event? So, what the difference is, I think, between one and two.
Okay.
So let's start with purification and preparation, and then we'll move on to the other.
Everybody's feeling it already who've committed. You'll do it in your own way. You'll do it in your own way. And you know you're doing something. You won't know exactly what you're doing, but you know you're doing something because you will feel it. I'm going to be bringing out a channeling in the next few weeks about the Chiron and Taurus transit and how that's relevant to so much of what I see. We're going into Chiron and Taurus because we're going to be birthing the subtle bodies, and everybody's going to be feeling it. It doesn't matter how healthy we are or what we feel health is or what we prioritize in. It's going to move us beyond the limitations of the reality in which we've been living in, that we think it's holding a space for us. The fact of the matter is, there definitely is purification and initiations, but everybody will feel it in their own way, you see, for it to come, and you will feel it. You will feel something has changed in you, or is changing, should I say, in you when you commit. And I'm happy about that because I know you're connecting up to source, and you're in your state of preparation. Your higher self and your lower self saying, I'm in preparation to absorb this vibration and to learn and to be touched more in this divine way. The second question there, Megan, was?
The difference between the two parts.
Okay,
So
very different. Very different.
Mm-hmm.
Look, to me, the first part is probably, for me, because where I've been sitting in a crystalline kingdom now specifically for the last 2 to 3 weeks and feeling the difference in the vibrations. For me, I feel the first part is so important because you're actually learning about the Holy Spirit, or should I say, attuning yourself to it. And you're tuning to prayers and invocations through that. I will say some that you know, some that I've written, but I will be tuning to Mother Mary. I will be tuning to the High Council. I'll be supporting you to understand what your subtle system is, how it works, how to support that process, how your ego and your physical self can absorb more of the subtle system, which is an aspect of your divine self. It's hugely clearing, it's hugely purifying, it's hugely, you could say, For me, like I give this as an analogy. There was one time we was in mystery school 4 when we go to well, I forget the name of the place, but St. Francis. You know, there's
Ah, that's Mystery School 3, and we
3
go to St. Francis of Assisi. We go
CC,
to
right?
his, yeah, yeah.
So we go to St. Clare, and then we go to St. Francis. And I had a really good, strong connection with St. Clare many years ago when I was birthing transference healing, and I had a lot of Sai Baba devotees coming to me who were in suffering. Said Sai Baba told me to come to you, and they used to get healings from me. That when St. Clare worked with the suffering, you know, so I'd had her as a saint with me when I was working with healing a lot of people. So I had to go through that to understand people suffering on a soul level, like an internal level. And then we walk up this road and then we'll go to St. Francis. And St. Francis, if you look at St. Francis was a devotee to Mother Mary and had stigmata before he made his ascension. And where was very connected to nature, you know, and you need to be connected to nature and the goddess to actually absorb this vibration. So what I saw there when I walked in to the St. Francis Cathedral, I saw a devotee there. He made a huge impact because he looked at into my eyes. And St. Francis gave up all his possessions to be a devotee to Mother Mary and to Christ consciousness, right? So this guy had like really old clothes on, but he was young and healthy, and I could see that he was well groomed, that he come from a place of, he chose to walk away from that. And he had a little St. Francis Bible book in his hands, and he was just sitting on this concrete floor. And I walked past him and he looked up at me, and there was like this telepathic thing. And I knew he was a devotee. So I feel what will happen with Level 1 Mystery School, and eventually with the book, when the book is finished, it will create a belief system for people. I call it mystic Christianity or Gnostic Christianity, but it will become a faith. I think people are going to find their faith somehow through this process that I'm in. I was born with the faith, so I think it might be something I already know, and it's going to birth a faith, and that's going to help people absorb more divine spirit, right? But Level 1 Mystery School is about that absorption and awareness, the build and the connection to a faith that is your soul is longing for, but to also understand and support this subtle system more. And if you are running this energy or receiving the energy, transference healing or the greeting procedures in the Mystery School, well, of course, I mean, it's not necessary, but of course there's an awareness that you have that those procedures and practices will support that absorption. It's going to cross over there somewhere, or people come through the Holy Spirit, they're going to get and they don't do the Mystery School energy, they're going to get very devoted through to the teachings from the concepts of the book, and they're going to become devotees of the faith. That's what I see happening. And once you have your faith and it's truth and it's universal, that's what's lacking in a lot of people.
And part 2?
It's, to me, the faith of Christ consciousness. That's what it is. Part 2 is completely different. It's no walk in the park, part 2. It's very, very much about power, polarity, kingdoms, and what happens when your divine I am begins to birth as the subtle body solidifies. And look, to be honest, I have to discern how much I say in that part 2, because it could scare some people or unbalance them in a way. So to me, I have to run certain technology, angelic energy, divine counsel. I have to explain things in a way that you understand, because there's so much more that I don't say that will be said. And I have to really look into your eyes and be guided on how much I say, because there's so much there that hasn't been said. But you could never go into that without some kind of preparation with the divine the Holy Spirit, because it's the Holy Spirit that's birthing the divine I am. And when the divine I am comes alive, your access to the realm of spirit becomes more enhanced. And there's so much discernment. You have to discern very clearly, and there's a whole, I call it the evil eye. There's a whole all-seeing eye that comes alive that has to start birthing. And I think through that process, I'm going to help people understand that. I'm going to help people empower themselves through divine will. That was the symbol of Mother Mary on the dragon, is the dissolving the old ego and the I am birthing, and what polarity can create, how people become unbalanced. So you can't actually absorb more of the Holy Spirit and subtle system until the I am begins to solidify. So it's like a big wake up, big picture of what that means, and how that can be enhanced, and what creates, because you have to walk through the sphere. You have to walk through a sphere of the tree of knowledge. You have to walk through into the tree of life. This is the tree of knowledge. From the tree of life to the tree of knowledge that I'm showing, it's so sacred. And I've just got to hope that spirit will protect everybody in their choices in the world, but my intent is in the right place. So I feel like it'll be a lot of self-work, but a lot of personal miracles and divine experiences. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So we have one from Michelle, who's in with us live at the moment. I'm looking forward to Alexis's perspectives and clarity around stepping into the temple. Okay, so I would also like to know if this deep purification and absorption of specific light codes and spiritualized pranic forces will assist in the necessary awakening to embody the Christ body.
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, to me, we have been stuck in our evolution, and so many beings have that have come through this dimension because of a distortion, and that happened at the beginning of creation when a lot of watchers, angels, fell. And that's what I'll be explaining a little bit in level 1, but more in level 2. So to me, that grid is healed now. It's healed in the grid, but it's not integrated into our being. And that's why we've had so much polarity and struggle and pain. And that's why all the polarity and war and conflict that go in the war, I don't get attached to one side or the other, because I know that it's all divinely orchestrated for a healing to take place with the Elohim. There's a much bigger picture that's going on. And I believe that as this grid heals, we'll begin to be purified and clear this polarity, because I believe that Christ knew that when he came through the Enochian lineage, that he knew that the halls of the door of abyss, or what we call hell, the door of abyss, and where the fallen angels are, he knew that he counteracted it through his light, and that helped solidify and heal the grid from this dimension. They were doing it from above, but he had to be here. And from that point on, for the last 2,000 years, we've been preparing ourselves to breach beyond duality. Now, I'm not going to go into it now, but there's a whole teaching that I'll be giving in 1 and 2, what that means for the world and everybody. But we couldn't, they need a vessel, because we couldn't, and they need support because we can actually create it alchemically now here in the universe, right? So I think I answered that question. I hope I did, Michelle. I hope I did. But it is eventually helping us birth and solidify the subtle bodies, interdimensionality, and Christ body and consciousness, yes.
Okay. So another one from Jenny, who's also here with us, so live with us. Does this work carry on from Mystery School 5? Does it provide something Mystery School 5 does not? And is there a closing date for the Temple of the Holy Spirit? Yes, there is. That's the 28th of July, Jenny. But I'll refer to Alexis for the other questions.
Yeah. So with the last level 5 mystery school, I started near the end losing the plot a bit, and I started bringing out things on, um, you know, the realm of spirit. Only there for a couple of hours, and everybody looked at me and went, "What the?" I said, "Well, guys, I've kind of been saying this all along." I think what will happen here, Jenny, is that as the subtle system comes alive, teachings that you've done in the mystery school and connections that you're making as the subtle system comes alive, it's actually, and part of that is mystery school teachings will become more relevant, and your awareness of the relevance of them will become more clear to you. So I do believe, like I said, that the mystery, there will be some people that will come for the temple eventually. At the moment, we're getting more people at it in the energy. We've had one lady booked in that had an experience. I picked up on this place in, I think, Italy, was it, Megan? I told you about earlier. I picked up on the specific cathedral after a training, and she said she had an experience in the cathedral and saw Mother Mary told her she had to go to the Temple of the Holy Spirit. So, and it was after that she actually did the mystery school online this year. See what I'm saying? So somehow some people will get a divine calling and will actually come to the mystery school because of that. And she's booked into the Temple of the Holy Spirit, right? But like I said, there will be some people as time moves on that will want that direct connection with me and feel called through the temple work, through the book, to embody their faith. And then they might go to a transference healer, to experience the energy. So I know that there's a divine process through everything I've created to help this Holy Spirit move out into the world.
So from there, I might ask a few questions about the relationship between the differences between the Temple of the Holy Spirit and the Mystery School. So we have a question here, what are the unique teachings and experiences or opportunities for spiritual development offered through each? Like, how are they different? How would you recommend, or how would somebody know which one is right for them if it's a choice between the two?
See.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to know. Again, I just think they're going to know. Look, like I said, I do feel they people might not want to go to the temple. They don't feel that connection until they get to a certain level in the mystery school. Then some people will go to the temple and want to go to the mystery school. So I just feel like, can I just explain it this way? Every single here I am in the outback of Australia, like in not the outback, but I am in Australia, right? And it's through traveling to through the mystery schools and through different grids and accessing different holograms and creating the mystery schools that I went into not only massive and beautiful cathedrals in the world that had symbolism and energy and geometry in them that activated my codes. It actually helped me go into parallel temples to get to the place to unify all that temple to enter the Temple of the Holy Spirit, right? And here I'm going to be in the Hunter Valley in Australia, where some people haven't traveled through Europe, that don't even know what a grid is, don't even know what a cathedral is, hasn't had that European culture and background. And I'm going to be playing holy music because my temple is universal. And this grid is enabling me to access universally. And this is what I'm saying. You're going to actually, all of these temples that I've been into on this earth, accessing higher temples is part of the temples around the temple. So if you go to Egypt and you go into every temple in Egypt, or the pyramid, then you have all of these temples, right? I said the temples are like formulas. They're formulas and vibrations. so that when you get to gear zone, you get to the Queen and the King, and your Merkaba lights up, and you go interdimensionally through the system through the divine spirit. You're accessing interdimensionality, right? So look at all the temples on the planet as vibrations to help you consolidate grids, ancient temples, and knowledge to get to the temple. But when you come, if you haven't traveled at all through through on Earth, you're going to experience it anyway through through that divine presence. You're actually going to feel that universal temple coming in and connecting up. The way I look at it, if I had to expand my vision beyond her temple and what it looks like, it's like a crescent moon, and I will explain it in level 1 of the Holy Spirit. It's a crescent moon. It's got pillars and it's open because they've created this crystalline reality for me to go in. It's so simple. Maha Chohan comes through, and then Mother Mary. When I move in, it's so sacred. It's symbolized in esoteric in the King Solomon's temple. Mother Mary actually went there, and there was this veil with all these stars on it, right? And she was one of the only women, very few high priests and priestesses, and to look beyond the veil. That's why I love Mother Mary in the veil, was saying that she went beyond into the divine through the accessibility of the divine. And part of King Solomon's temple was to create that accessibility if anybody could walk into it. So it's like I'm being guided. If you think about it like that, think of the temple of the Holy Spirit as this temple. But if you think about all the mystery schools and temples throughout the ages, and all the temples, cathedrals connected to ancient pagan temples, to connected to other temples, imagine them temples as the temples of around the Pyramid of Giza, purification, initiation, and communion, and connection, and light body activations, and angels. And that's all part of getting to the temple. But everybody who's at the temple of the Holy Spirit will have their own divine experiences in that. But it will be the absorption of this vibration that will help them have that. And it's through the teachings to help them understand that. It's not like I'm going to be working on you directly, but I'm working on you in my own consolidated way to create this vibration.
Right. So it's different from the mystery schools in that, the mystery schools are, we work with, the alchemy of transference healing. We go deep into it, and we really dive into expand on some of the teachings of what you would already have experienced in transference healing. So you understand the esoteric knowledge that birthed it, and you also understand its place in our future evolution, and you can connect to it on a more deep level. Whereas the Temple of the Holy Spirit is a connecting with divine vibration directly through you, and there's no manuals, there's no anything like that. It's a pure experience of receiving. Yes.
Yes, I might give you a prayer to take home with you or something like that, but it won't be any recorded for you. It will be the experience of the absorption and the awareness and whatever takes place through that, and that clarity. Yes.
Great. That's helpful. Thank you. So we've had a couple of questions, both from Lily and Joy. Obviously, as we've said prior, you can attend the temple without having any experience with transference healing. But for those who have, is there anything that you would recommend, any practices to prepare for the temple, prepare energetically for it?
Well, I feel that the prayer of the new millennium is really, really good. You know how you do that initiation, I think, before Mystery School 4? Is it Mystery School 4? And then before you go into reading, and it gets back to me so often. Oh my God, we're coming up to the purification ritual for Mystery School 4. It's exhausting, right? You know that exhaustion, and that's what I feel. I amplify that 100 times, and that's what I'm going through. It gives you an idea, because that's that prayer. But if you haven't done, you do that ritual in your Mystery School 4 practice every so many months, right? If you haven't done Mystery School 4, every now and again, just say the prayer, or use the Mother Mary prayer candle to help with that. But you're also, to me, you're going to feel a connection to the divine saints and goddesses that I talk about was part of the energy. So there's implications that you might pick up on Mary Magdalene or Lady Nada. There's certain things that you might feel called to do that invocation with. Apart from that, I feel like your intent will create the calling that you need to practice to help you get there. Do you understand? For that process to be amplified.
Okay, so that's the last of the questions. I think before we close off, Alexis, I just want to share a little bit of how the temple is structured and the locations and things like that, so that's clear for you all. As I mentioned before, the bookings need to be in by the 28th of July. That's our deadline. It is fairly strict because obviously there is a lot of planning that goes into a in-person experience with venues and catering and all of the things that come along with that. For part one of the Temple of the Holy Spirit, we are on a beautiful, at a beautiful country hotel in the Hunter Valley region. It is at an extra cost, and it is a beautiful hotel. I mean, we're connecting with the temple and the Holy Spirit, so we want to be in a beautiful environment for the teachings. So you're in the country, gorgeous views and land around you. There's not there's things in the area, but you would need a vehicle or you need to arrange cars to get there because you're in the country. Okay, we have worked with this venue before. Really beautiful people. We had our Mystery School 5 in the last two Mystery School 5 events there. Catering will be organised through the hotel because it is a offsite because it is a country location, and that's included in your price. So you'll have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at it is essentially a fine dining restaurant in the region as well. Okay, so you'll be there for part one. For part two, there's a few days off in between, and for those, you'll be going to Alexis's you know, sacred site retreat, which is the Garden of Eden, which she is co-custodian with Kay. We will be, there's no accommodation on the property. You'll have accommodation offsite, and they will be, again, because this is very remote location. So it'll be in houses, like Airbnb style housing, where you'll share with, anywhere up to 5 people. And you'll be preparing your own breakfasts and dinners, but we will provide morning tea, afternoon tea, and lunch catering on site. And you'll be shuttled in by us each day. It's about 30 minutes of dirt track down the mountain into the valley for the part two teachings, which will be in Alexis's temple there. Outside, there's a sanctuary to Mother Mary, and you'll be in outdoors, but contained in a marquee there for those teachings, and you'll get to roam the beautiful property and the sacred sites on your breaks as well. So that's just
There's
a little bit of
optional
an
with that
insight.
accommodation too. You don't have to stay in 5 people. Some people stay on their own. It's
Yeah,
optional.
some people there are, depending on what, like that's why we need bookings. There needs to be a cutoff because we do need to coordinate with privately owned venues in the area, and we want to meet everybody's needs, whether you prioritize price or you prioritize your own personal space. Those types of things need to be coordinated. And we need to organize, people to drive buses to get you down. It's a logistical feat. So that's what it looks like for these two events if you were to attend in person. And immediately when you book in, we'd get you securing your accommodation for part one, and part two will be secured when bookings are finalized at the end of July. Okay, so with that, I'll let you close off, Alexis.
Well, it's been lovely. It's the first time I've actually really talked about it, apart from the information that's gone out there. So it's part of me owning and embodying what I need to embody. So I hope this answered all your questions. And yeah, it's been lovely to connect with you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.